Hi Leo, welcome to the channel or welcome back. So quick disclaimers, these are general, it may or may not resonate. There's no time date on them, and of course, always follow your own intuition. Even if what I'm saying resonates, you'll always know what's best for yourself. And I'd like to formally apologize for all the noise. There are some new neighbors I have, and they're interesting. Not in the way you want to be interesting, but you know. So, let's just get on with your reading. Owl, yes, Leo. So, this week, did you guys get owl last week? No, I think it was someone else. But I think immediately I got 360. So I think you do have a very well developed view of something, or interpretation, mindset, theory. There's something, and it is air, so I am getting mind, you know. You can kind of see all angles of this thing. You kind of, you know, just think the way an owl turns its head around. And something about it has you really mesmerized this week. You're kind of looking at it from all angles, you know, you're trying to see if there's anything you missed, is kind of what I'm hearing. And yeah, there's a sense of you being on top this week, you know, almost detached, which I really like, especially for Leos, because you guys can just be so, you know, you guys just want the cuddles. You guys are so cuddly. So I think this week there's a really big form of detachment coming in, and I think that's, as I said, really good, because not needing something or not being attached to something is what sort of brings back that very thing, right? Another thing you might want to look into if you're interested is stoicism. I'm a pretty big fan of it. I think there's a lot of good theory in it. And one of their key principles is indifference, you know, and that sort of comes with detachment. And you do have this type of indifference this week, you know? From the owl card, I'm just getting that, as I said before, you're almost looking at something 360 degrees from like a bird's eye view. 360 might not even be the right degree, you know? It's almost like 3D. What's the degree for a full shape? Anyway, so yeah, there's just this sense of really, it's almost like you're viewing something as a scientific project, you know? You're like, in the container, we have specimen A, and we're going to look at its nutrients, we're gonna look at its like, it just seems like a science experiment this week, Leo. I don't know if you're making like a volcano at home or something, but it's very cool. So let's see the person, place, or thing you're dealing with. Oh, okay, that really took me off guard. Firefly and then crow underneath. The crow card came as a surprise. So yeah, it's almost like you are looking at something in like a test tube, or, you know, you might be a scientist, who knows. But whatever you're looking at or examining, you know, it's bringing new creativity to you. It's bringing, you know, sort of, I'm getting like muse, you know, this thing, whatever it is, it's just so interesting to you. You just love, you know, depicting it. And I'm getting all this air, you know, so you might be a Leo with heavy air placements, or the person you're dealing with might have air placements, if it is a person. So with the crow card coming out with it, you know, I am hearing past, present, future. That's kind of what always comes out for the crow card. And I think this person, you know, if it is a person, I'm gonna say person because it kind of feels like it. You've known them for a while, you know. Crow is always like, as I said, past, present, future. So they've been in your life. And if it's not a person, then whatever this thing is, it's just, if you, God, this is very similar to the Gemini reading. If you look back in your past, you should be able to find traces of it, you know? Because when something does captivate us so much, when it does draw our attention to this degree, it's like there is something about our inner child, and there is this notion of being like meant for it, you know? Like if this is a job, then it's like, you know, you're meant for this job. Yeah, I don't I find it hard to expand on that. It's just, and I'm not talking like self, you know, crowning, like, you know how some kings and queens, you guys are the Leos, you guys will get this. Some kings and queens used to crown themselves. I'm not talking about that. It's like this thing is genuinely meant for you, you know? It's almost like being born into royal blood. Like, you were meant to take the throne. You were meant to get this job, be with this person, live in this house, like, etc., etc. Because at the end of the day, what's meant for us will always be meant for us, right? Like, you can't just, it's your abundance. It's not going anywhere. I think the universe just, or at least that's my theory, the universe just waits for us to sort of claim it and get into alignment with it. And they're like, okay, fair, here you go. So let's see the subconscious of the energy. I'm very intrigued. B, oh my god. So absolutely could be a job, just because the B card is sort of my worker card. But if it's not a job, then, you know, subconsciously this thing is just getting you alive again. It's sort of, it's making you want to put in the effort, you know what I mean? Because when we're at a job we hate, or, you know, a school, a program, even with a person that we're not meant to be with, it's like a struggle, you know, to kind of do stuff for it. Like when you're doing, I don't know, for example, math homework and you hate math, it's like, yeah, you can get it done, but it takes like 3 hours of crying and rereading this, you know what I mean? It's just, it's a lot harder to do the task. It's not as much fun. It feels like a burden. It just drains you, you know? When you're not meant to be doing something, it will feel so draining. And I'm not talking about, because I do want to make a distinction between hard work. You know, some things, it's just hard work. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. You can't really get around it, right? Like, I don't know, hiking up a mountain. You can't just be like, oh, I wish this was easy. Like, no, you just dig deep, you find the strength, and even if you're tired, you keep going, right? But that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is more so something that genuinely just drains your life source, you know? It's like the longer you stay in it, the more you deteriorate, whether that's emotionally, mentally, or physically. But the good thing is this thing doesn't do that for you. This thing sort of sparks this, I want to show up, I want to do better, I want to strive for higher, you know? It's this person, place, or thing, whatever it is, it really motivates you and kind of lights a fire under your ass, Leo. I don't know what that's about, but yeah. So let's see more consciously what's going on. Tarantula crossroads. I literally just saw a giant crossing sign. So I think now it's like the song by Elvis Presley, Now or Never. So sorry, I did a little stretch there. I think that whatever's coming up right now, you do have to make a decision, because as I said, you sort of had this thing in your scope, 360. It brings you excitement, you know, you can see it in your past, your present, and your future. You love showing up for it. So much air, right? So I think a lot of this has just been in your mind, Leo, you know? You haven't really taken any action towards this thing yet. A lot of it has just been sort of playing out in your brain, deciding the different routes you could go down, sort of, you know, just, I think, evaluating your options with it. But now it's like with Tarantula, I mean, look at this guy. Look at this guy. Like, you gotta make a decision. You know, it's not, yeah, there's no more time to really mess around, is what I'm hearing. I don't think you've been messing around, but, wow, another air card. Yeah, as I said, the center of it is dragonfly. So I think completely most of this has been in your mind, and now it's coming up to the sub or the conscious for you to make a decision. So it started subconsciously, you know, started to sort of come into your life more and more and more and more, and now you're like, okay, I need to make a decision. So whatever this decision is, I think you're gonna go with your passion because you're a Leo, and Leos, you guys are so passionate, you know? And with Dragonfly, it's like this thing has been on your mind for so freaking long, is what I'm hearing. I think that's why you've been able to get such a 360-degree view of it, because you've just been thinking about it so much. It's been on your mind. And with Tarantula, I do want to just say one more time, a decision has to be made. You know, you can't just keep it in your mind, because the more and more you sort of stay in a state of thinking and not doing, you can start to regress. You know, I think people forget about that. Action is absolutely necessary. You know, it's the masculine force. It's you can't just sit and think. You can, don't get me wrong, and it's good to do that sometimes. You can really figure a lot about yourself and others in the world, but you can't forget about that masculine principle of action, you know, making decisions, taking leadership. Yeah, because at the end of the day, a decision has to be made, and I think you know exactly what to do, Leo. I don't think I need to tell you. I think you know exactly where you want to go, exactly where you want to be heading. I think this week it's just about really putting your foot down and saying, this is what I want, this is where I'm at. You know, it's kind of like, take it or leave it. You know, the Tarantula card, it's not very fluffy. You know, it's not like, well, maybe. It's like, no, take it or leave it, right? So I think I'm gonna leave it there. Thank you so much for watching, Leo. Once again, I'm so sorry about the constant drilling and construction. Hopefully that won't be there next week. And yeah, thank you guys so much. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.